Good evening, everyone. Let me start with a simple idea. What you eat at night matters more than you think, especially after the age of 50. As we age, our bodies change. Our metabolism slows down. Our blood vessels become less flexible. Our heart, while still strong, becomes more sensitive to stress, especially the kind we don't notice right away. As people move past the age of 50, one of the less obvious but very important changes happening in the body is a gradual slowing of metabolism, particularly during the nighttime hours. Metabolism is the process by which the body converts food into energy, and it is influenced by hormones, activity levels, and the body's internal clock, also known as the circadian rhythm. When we are younger, the body is generally more efficient at processing food at almost any time of day. However, with age, this flexibility decreases, and the body becomes more sensitive to when food is consumed, not just what is consumed. At night, the body naturally prepares for rest and repair. Hormone levels begin to shift. Melatonin rises to promote sleep, while insulin sensitivity tends to decrease. This means that the body is not as effective at handling sugars and carbohydrates during late hours. When someone over 50 eats a meal rich in sugar or refined carbohydrates at night, glucose tends to remain in the bloodstream longer than it would during the day. Over time, this repeated pattern can contribute to elevated blood sugar levels and increased strain on the cardiovascular system. Fat metabolism is also affected. As metabolism slows, the body is less efficient at breaking down and utilizing fats, especially saturated and trans fats often found in processed or fried foods. Instead of being used for energy, these fats are more likely to circulate in the bloodstream or be stored. This can gradually lead to higher levels of LDL cholesterol, which is closely linked to plaque buildup in the arteries. Since nighttime is a period of reduced physical activity, the body has fewer opportunities to burn off these excess nutrients, compounding the issue. Another important factor is how the digestive system behaves at night. With age, digestion can become slower and less efficient. Late night eating forces the digestive system to remain active when it would otherwise be winding down. This not only affects sleep quality, but also places additional demand on the body's systems, including the heart. Blood flow is redirected to aid digestion, and this can subtly increase cardiovascular workload during a time when the body is supposed to be recovering. Hormonal changes also play a role in nighttime metabolism. Levels of growth hormone, which helps with tissue repair and fat metabolism, peak during deep sleep. However, when food is consumed late at night, especially heavy or calorie-dense meals, this natural cycle can be disrupted. The body prioritizes digestion over repair, and the beneficial effects of these hormones may be reduced. Over time, this imbalance can contribute to increased fat storage and reduced metabolic efficiency. Sleep itself is closely tied to metabolism, and poor sleep is more common with age. Eating late at night, particularly foods high in sugar, fat, or caffeine, can interfere with sleep quality. Inadequate or disrupted sleep has been shown to negatively affect metabolic health by altering hunger hormones like leptin and ghrelin. This can lead to increased appetite, cravings for unhealthy foods, further metabolic imbalance, creating a cycle that becomes harder to break over time. Physical activity levels often decrease with age as well, which further compounds the slowing of metabolism. When fewer calories are burned during the day and excess calories are consumed at night when the body is least prepared to handle them, the imbalance becomes more pronounced. The result is gradual weight gain, increased fat accumulation, and higher risk of conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease. These changes do not happen suddenly but develop gradually, often without obvious symptoms at first. The body adapts quietly, and the effects accumulate over years. This is why nighttime eating habits become more significant after 50, as the body's reduced metabolic flexibility makes it less forgiving of patterns that were once manageable in younger years. Many foods that seem completely harmless during the day can become surprisingly problematic when eaten at night, especially after the age of 50. This isn't because the foods themselves suddenly change, but because the body's ability to process them shifts as part of its natural daily rhythm. In younger years, the body is more adaptable and can handle occasional late-night indulgences without much consequence. Over time, however, the same habits can begin to place subtle but meaningful stress on the heart and overall health. Take salty snacks as an example. foods like chips, crackers, and packaged savory. Items are often eaten casually in the evening, sometimes while watching television or relaxing. These foods tend to be high in sodium, and at night, the body is less efficient at regulating fluid balance. Excess sodium can lead to fluid retention, which increases blood volume and raises blood pressure. When this happens during sleep, the cardiovascular system doesn't get the rest it needs. Instead, the heart continues to work against elevated pressure, which over time can contribute to long-term strain. Sugary foods are another category that often goes unnoticed. Desserts after dinner, cookies, cakes, ice cream are common and culturally normalized. But at night, insulin sensitivity is lower, meaning the body has a harder time moving sugar out of the bloodstream and into cells for energy. This can result in prolonged spikes in blood glucose levels. Repeated exposure to these spikes can damage blood vessels and promote inflammation, both of which are closely linked to heart disease. What feels like a small treat can quietly... Processed metabolic health when it becomes a nightly routine. Processed meats are often considered convenient and satisfying, especially for a late snack. Items like deli slices, sausages, or leftovers from earlier meals may not seem harmful in small amounts. However, they typically contain high levels of sodium, preservatives such as nitrates, and unhealthy fats. At night, when the body is preparing to rest, these compounds are not processed as efficiently. Instead, they can contribute to oxidative stress and inflammation, gradually affecting the integrity of blood vessels and increasing cardiovascular risk. Fried and heavy foods present another challenge. Meals that are rich in fats and oils require more effort to digest. When consumed late in the evening, they can slow down the digestive process even further. This not only leads to discomfort or poor sleep, but also keeps the body in an active metabolic state when it should be winding down. The energy that would normally go toward cellular repair and recovery is redirected toward digestion. Over time, this imbalance can interfere with the body's natural maintenance processes and increase strain on the heart. Even beverages that are generally considered mild can become problematic at night. Drinks containing caffeine, such as tea, coffee, or certain sodas, may not seem harmful, especially in small amounts. However, caffeine can stimulate the nervous system and interfere with the body's ability to enter deep, restorative sleep. Poor sleep quality is strongly associated with higher blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, and increased stress hormone levels. These effects may not be immediately noticeable, but they can accumulate over time and impact heart health. Another subtle factor is portion size. At night, people are more likely to eat mindlessly or in larger quantities, often without realizing it. Even foods that are relatively healthy during the day can become excessive. When eaten late and in large amounts, the body's reduced metabolic activity at night means that these extra calories are less likely to be used for energy and more likely to be stored, contributing to weight gain and metabolic imbalance. These foods are not inherently dangerous, and they can be part of a balanced diet when consumed appropriately. The concern arises from timing and repetition. When these harmless choices become regular nighttime habits, they interact with the body's natural rhythms in ways that increase stress on the cardiovascular system. Over time, this creates a pattern that quietly shifts the body toward higher risk, even in the absence of obvious symptoms. Small nightly habits often feel insignificant in the moment, but over time they can have a powerful cumulative effect on heart health. The body responds not just to major lifestyle choices, but to repeated patterns that occur day after day. What makes nighttime habits particularly important is that they coincide with the body's natural period of rest and repair. When these habits consistently interfere with that process, the impact builds gradually, often without immediate warning signs. One of the key issues is consistency. A single late-night snack or occasional indulgence is unlikely to cause harm. However, when certain behaviors become routine, such as eating heavy meals late, consuming sugary snacks before bed, or relying on salty processed foods, the body begins to adapt in ways that are not beneficial. Blood sugar levels may remain elevated for longer periods, blood pressure may stay slightly higher overnight, and the heart may not experience the level of recovery it needs. These changes are subtle at first, but repetition turns them into lasting physiological patterns. Inflammation plays a central role in this process. Many common nighttime habits, especially those involving processed or high-fat foods, can trigger low-grade inflammation in the body. Unlike acute inflammation, which is part of the body's natural defense system, chronic inflammation is persistent and damaging. It affects the lining of blood vessels, making them less flexible and more prone to plaque buildup. Over time, this can narrow the arteries and reduce efficient blood flow, increasing the risk of heart-related conditions. Another important factor is how these habits influence cholesterol levels. Regular consumption of unhealthy fats at night, when the body is less active and metabolism is slower, can lead to weight gain and increase the risk of chronic diseases. Can lead to an imbalance between good HDL cholesterol and bad LDL cholesterol. Elevated LDL levels contribute to the formation of plaque within the arteries, a process that develops slowly over years. Because this buildup happens quietly, many people are unaware of the changes until more serious symptoms appear. Sleep disruption is another pathway through which small nightly habits affect the heart. Eating late, especially foods high in sugar, fat, or caffeine, can interfere with the quality and depth of sleep. Poor sleep has been strongly linked to increased levels of stress hormones such as cortisol. When cortisol remains elevated, it can raise blood pressure, increase heart rate, and promote fat storage, particularly around the abdomen. These effects place additional strain on the cardiovascular system and can accelerate the progression of heart disease. Weight gain is often a downstream consequence of these patterns. Consuming extra calories at night when the body's energy demands are low makes it more likely that those calories will be stored rather than used. Gradual weight gain, especially in the form of visceral fat, is closely associated with higher risks of hypertension, diabetes, and heart disease. Because the changes happen slowly, they can go unnoticed until they become more difficult to reverse. Hormonal balance is also affected by repeated nighttime behaviors. The body relies on a coordinated release of hormones during sleep to regulate metabolism, repair tissues, and maintain cardiovascular health. Disruptions caused by late eating or poor sleep can interfere with this balance, reducing the effectiveness of these restorative processes. Over time, this can weaken the body's ability to manage stress, regulate blood pressure, and maintain healthy blood vessels. What makes these habits particularly concerning is that they often feel harmless. They are part of daily routines, watching television with a snack, having dessert after dinner, or drinking a late cup of tea or coffee. Because the effects are not immediate, it is easy to overlook their significance. Yet the body keeps a record of these patterns, and the accumulation of small stresses eventually translates into measurable changes in heart health. The gradual nature of this process means that prevention is largely about awareness and consistency. Adjusting even a few of these nightly habits can reduce the long-term burden on the heart and allow the body to function more efficiently during its natural recovery period.